let's move that. All right, what's up, everybody? In today's video, all right, once again, my cats are just acting so fucking retarded. I'm about to scream, but I'm here. I have a gay little short little list, really, of some comments I want to make. I'm wearing my camo hoodie because I don't know if you guys have heard, but we're at war. We're at war. You know, I am curious to see if the old adage of women and children first is still something that holds true, or in this new age of equality and equity and pedophilia, was it just sort of like everyone for themselves? Because luckily I'm not Kukarachi'd, so the whole draft thing I think might be able to just go right over my head. But we'll see. Y'all know. Better a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war when it comes to yours truly. But yeah, so what's been going on, everyone? It's Friday. I'm so fucking happy. I woke up to, well, a snowstorm. I didn't know it was supposed to snow, and like all of a sudden I'm like going out to my car to go to the gym, and I'm like, wait a second, there's 8 inches on the ground and it's still snowing, and now I have to. So it's been a morning once again. The barn was nuts, but I'm here. I need to go back to the barn at some point this afternoon. So we got to get this conversation going. Like I said, there's so many things I want to talk about. Some of them are comments that I want to respond to from the past week. La 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 la. Well, should we knock those off of the list first? I think so. First of all, a gentleman named Spiteful Mutant. If you're watching this, you know I love you so much. We were talking yesterday about this Christian girl at the barn who is part of this big Christian family, and she just went to see this Holocaust museum in Maryland, and blah 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 blah. We've heard it all before, and I was just like curious as to what the connection was between these sort of Christian Zionists, and their obsession with going to what seems like a large number of Holocaust memorials and museums all over the globe, which is crazy to me still. But Spiteful Mutant rightfully pointed out that martyrdom, the concept of martyrdom and dying for your faith, I think that's what is probably the resonating factor there. Okay, you either need to get in there or go out. Okay? Sorry, these things are so fucking annoying. Martyrdom. Anyways, the next comment is for Jeremy. You know I love you so much, Jeremy. You commented about asking if I saw Heather McDonald fainting on stage, that whole thing. I've commented this before. I believe it was in one of my like Nick Fuentes rants or something last week. Okay, I was responding to Savannah Hernandez, who was commenting on the Heather McDonald from Juicy Scoop, who we love so much. Heather, I specifically, this is coming back to me right now. So I began my video that I was about to talk about that documentary, that Louis Theroux documentary, and I began this commenting on Savannah Hernandez because she got it so wrong about Heather McDonald, and pretty much everyone got it wrong about Heather McDonald. And I just wanted to use that as a context because I get things wrong too. But really, this Heather McDonald thing is shaping up to like really sort of make me want to second guess what I comment about people, because like you really don't know. But anyways, Jeremy asked if I had seen the video of Heather McDonald fainting. Yes. Yes, of course I saw that video. But what was even crazier, and I almost want to like cue it up and just play the audio for you guys, was in this week's Juicy Scoop. Heather was just like talking about just some of the after effects of that whole thing. And first of all, I got it right, and I'm so grateful. Grateful, maybe not the right word there, but I'm just like, yeah. She spent. Okay, so everyone put these videos on YouTube, commenting on, this comedian as she falls after, blasphemizing God and Jesus and all that. She's like on all these like YouTube videos, and she's like just like reading the comments, all the hate comments about herself. And I love that she was so open about this, and she was just saying again, continuing that like these people are getting it so wrong, especially on the conservative right. Like Heather is like she's a Catholic school girl. She went to Catholic private school. She talked all the time about like her Catholicism. Like she is not the one. She is like the most like one of the most like probably the most level-headed person in Hollywood. And these people, she even says in the video, she's like, people think that I'm some Hollywood elite like who's super liberal, who's like eating babies and that's like so not her. And she's like aware of like all these people again on the right that are like equating her with this whole thing, but they don't follow the Juicy Scoop with Heather McDonald, even though they should, because it's such a great pop culture podcast. They just like they completely miss it, and just like all of that like commentary and video and stuff, it's all wrong. Like it just and again the judgment from people who are Christians, who are like they always do this thing, how they're not Christian enough, or if like you are a real Christian, um and just like judging people's experience with the divine. I don't know. I love Heather McDonald. I think, for a woman, she is rather funny. She seems to get it, which a lot of folks fucking don't, especially like in the comedy sphere, hello. So I just wanted to bring that up because Jeremy asked if I had saw the painting video. And yes, I had seen the video. And I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I think the whole thing is kind of interesting because again, this like sort of intersection with like religion and like then Heather was like, what am I doing wrong here? Did either Jesus flicked me or an angel tapped me on the shoulder? I just think it's an interesting question how we all are just doing our best to try to figure life out, and that we all like have our shit. Um, Anyways, so I guess that I have those two things off the list. Let's talk about some movie trailers because for some reason all of these trailers are coming out right now. I don't know why. And this all just like fallout from like all of the lockdowns and stuff? And this is just like we're getting like a huge wave of just shitty content. First of all, there's this movie called I want to see if I have. I'm gonna put these in the. I don't have that one keyed. Okay, so the first one is called We Crashed, all one word. It's this movie about the founding of the company WeWorks. The trailer is awful. It has Tom Hiddleston in it, who you all know I fucking hate Tom Hiddleston. Yuck. And he has like this accent in this film, which sounded just so fucking retarded. He is up there with Anne Hathaway, which Anne Hathaway, I haven't seen her. I don't think she's been in a film that's based in Manhattan since The Devil Wears Prada. And that's the whole thing I kept thinking in this trailer was like, oh my gosh, it's like The Devil Wears Prada, seeing her in New York City. And I realized that I think, is one of those people that cannot escape that particular role. Just like Tom Felton, the guy who played Malfoy from Harry Potter, and just like the Joffrey from Game of Thrones. Like somehow the character becomes them in a different way. And I think Anne Hathaway has that curse because of The Devil Wears Prada. And in this We Crashed movie looks like it's the same thing, just on the other side of the country. You remember that movie? I think it was called The Social Network, with about the founding of Facebook. They came out with that pretty quickly after the founding of Facebook, which leads me to think that whole thing was probably just predictive programming, because we all knew that Facebook did not start in Mark Zuckerberg's basement or in his college dorm room. Like all of that stuff is like DARPA funded, DARPA led, the technological arm of the Pentagon. So this We Crashed film seems to follow a similar storyline as The Social Network. Brenda Song was in The Social Network, and I don't think she's been in a film since. Brenda Song was also in The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. Shout out to all of you 90s kids out there. Yeah, so We Crashed looks awful. This next one is kind of interesting. Again, in this intersection with religion and spirituality. It's called Hillsong. It's a documentary on Hillsong, which is that like that culty uh, sort of celebrity church in Los Angeles that like Justin Bieber and those people would go to. This takes me back to like my West Coast years. Um, and yeah, just again, just Christian megachurch, that type of thing, and the abuse that allegedly happened. I don't really know, but Hillsong, for any of you people that like those religious culty documentary type things, looked okay, but probably going to be bad. And then this last one that I want to talk about is, which I'll put the link because I have it queued up here still. It's called The First Lady. I'm putting it in the live chat right now. Oh my God. Saja, if you're watching this, you have to watch this trailer. First of all, it stars, is it Gillian or Gillian Anderson, while Viola Davis, Michelle Pfeiffer. I am like so confused. Dakota Fanning's in it too. It's called The First Lady, and it follows like the first lady of like multiple different presidencies. I think it did. It has okay. So Viola Davis, she plays Michael Obama, and plays opposite his husband Barack Obama, and so there's like this. So like I said, Michelle is in it. I think Ford, whatever Ford's wife was, Roosevelt, Eleanor Roosevelt. There might be a couple other ones. I'm not really sure, but I think this is like either a series. I don't know if it's a movie, but it's called The First Lady. And yeah, it's really weird and strange having like actors and actresses play characters that haven't even happened like 2 decades ago, as if like it's placed in history, as if its place in history is like cemented, like 100 years back, like the Obama thing, like seeing people portray them on uh, screen in 2022 when he didn't leave office. He left office what, like 2016, right? 2008, 2012. Yeah, it hasn't even been like 10 years since he's been out of office. And like there's to have people like doing character portrayals of him, I think that's weird. I think it reeks again of this global homo empire that we're stuck in. And I hate it so much. So that First Lady show looks awful. Ugh. Um, what else do we want to talk about here? Should we go into the Rusher thing? Um, I have a couple different thoughts on that. I also have what I can't tell if this is real. I've seen it a couple places now. I have an article that I want to comment on. Um, where should we begin? Should we start? Why don't we tie it into some astrology and then we can go from there? So, yeah. So we have, again, this Mars Venus conjunction that's been happening in Capricorn that is slowly approaching Pluto, which is at like 27 degrees of Capricorn, which we talked about yesterday. The United States is in its Pluto return right now. Interestingly enough, I learned yesterday that the Queen of England, do we love her so much? I don't know. We love monarchy, but she seems a little adrenochromed, if you know what I mean. But her ascendant, I guess, is at 27 degrees Capricorn, which could mean that she could croak soon. Someone said that she's come down with a little little cough, and the poor thing isn't doing too well. So I don't know. I think that's kind of interesting. Again, Venus and Mars are at like 22, 23 right now, and they're quickly approaching, really, um, Pluto at 27 degrees Capricorn. And that's, I don't know, all of this like sort of war talk and all of that stuff happening right now, again, in Capricorn, and then with all the Piscean energy, oh, which is a recipe for disaster. Then we have that Uranus and Taurus where the North Node is. So I'm really interested to see where this all goes, but it's looking kind of crazy. And this whole Russia thing, like I want to know, okay, is anyone else thinking this too? Because what I want to know is like, what is it like to be a citizen of a country that's on the offensive? Like, what is it like to be like in Russia right now, like, or being a Russian citizen? Knowing that your country is like pushing outwards, that like expansionist, more like imperialist type of vibe, whether they're reclaiming territory or not, whatever. But like to be part of a country that's not just merely mitigating something or being on the defensive. Um, like, what does that feel like? What does that taste like? What does it smell like to be, on the offensive and be like a part of that country? Because we're always, at least since I've been born, we've just always sort of been like, I guess we've been on the offensive, like Afghanistan and Iraq and all of that. But I don't really count that because it's all like that fake proxy gay global homo stuff, right? Um, that petrodollar stuff. I mean, like a genuine war. Like, what's it like? Maybe I guess like some Germans might know, but like, what's it like to have that? Like, I don't know. Does anyone know what I'm saying? I probably sound so stupid. La, 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 la. False flags. Yeah. So, obviously, the false flag thing we should probably keep in the back of our mind because what we've seen, what I've seen, just like in this past 10 years, is the regime likes to attack itself and then blame someone else, like Russia or Palestine. Um, which, yeah, where's Israel in all of this? And and maybe Israel can defend Ukraine. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Or did Ukraine already fall? Has fallen? I don't know the language, but yeah, the false flags and remembering that this dark cabalist regime loves to attack itself. So I don't doubt that Russia sort of moved in on Ukraine, but I can also see NATO pulling some bullshit and escalating this in a direction that it doesn't need to go in. I think Russia does have serious, security concerns, and whether or not, I'm not even going to pretend to talk like this because I don't even fucking care. I don't. I really don't. I care about Russia insofar as like, um, Anastasia and like World War One and that type of thing. But I've had a couple Russian friends. I've met some beautiful Russian women in my life, but like I like I'm realizing right now, like I really don't care. Because my next question is like, will these refugees be whiter than the last ones we got, or will they be browner? I don't really know. I assume like Ukrainians are more white, but then somehow the refugees that show up end up looking like they're from the Congo. So that's why I'm like just sort of trying to prepare myself, setting a like a low expectation here so that maybe I can be surprised when the immigrants and the migrants and the refugees come that you're a lot whiter than I expected, and wow, you're not like a cannibal, and you're not like running around raping all the little girls here. I want to be pleasantly surprised, but um, I say that because I can't tell if this article, which I'm about to talk about, is real or not, but it says it's from Breitbart, so like I don't know. I have to say I'm so grateful that I have been staying off of the news. And when this whole Russia thing happened, like all the sheep just like brought it to me, like different family members, like people at the barn, they like all came to me and were like, "Oh, did you know Russia invaded Ukraine?" And like I'm like, "Okay, cool. Like maybe now uh we don't have to send our tax money to Ukraine. Like maybe like Russia can help them now." So I've seen nothing but benefits from this whole thing, honestly. But yeah, this article, because you can't tell if anything's real or not. People tend to lie on the internet. But this person apparently attained this memo from the Customs and Border Protection Office that detailed some effort known as Operation Support Ukraine. The Office of Field Operations is seeking volunteers to assist with the possible evacuation of U.S. citizens, lawful permanent residents, and their immediate family members from Ukraine. Eligible employees who volunteer for this situation may be selected to serve a temporary duty assignment in Poland to facilitate travelers for entry into the U.S. to include providing guidance and problem resolution to other government agencies. This memo said volunteers need to be ready to deploy within 2 to 3 days of selection and should plan for about a month's work overseas. It also offered a plan for COVID-19 mitigation that said workers either need to have the kukarashi or natural immunity from a recent infection. So this is about how there's a report that Biden is to divert border agents from the US southern border and send them to assist with the Russia-Ukraine conflict. It just sounds so stupid that I honestly can't tell if it's real or not, because I don't know. It says in January alone, they apprehended nearly 154,000 border crossings, roughly adding to the roughly 2.1 million border crossings that were illegal last year. So that, makes me kind of black pilled. I don't know if it's real or not, but a lot, I think, of the positive with this whole thing is all of these sheep that brought me all this news. They were all very, like, a lot of them were like, oh, they're just done with COVID, so now they're moving on to something else. Another one that was like, saw through the gas price thing, because gas went up here. It's like 3.40 something. It went up like 20 something cents yesterday. Um, Again, all unnecessary, all manufactured, all artificial. But the one woman was like, yeah, the gas prices are going up. Now this happens, and now they can just blame Russia for it. And it's like, yeah, she gets it. So I'm thinking that, like, at least, fingers crossed. I don't know. The sheep in the servant class are pretty fucking dumb, and they change their mind every other day. But it seems like the bourgeoisie in this area is not on board with any of this, and they're very skeptical, and they're like, sort of like, what's going on here? I was on part of Ramsey's live stream he did yesterday when he was with Biden's speech or whatever, and it's just like so embarrassing and so predictable too. The whole thing's so boring. It's like their response and how they approach everything. It's so uh again boring. It's like, of course you're gonna respond like this. Do you know what I mean? It's stupid. The whole thing is stupid. But yeah, will these refugees be whiter than the last ones or browner? I don't know. Um, yeah. Hello, Mike Floyd. Jewel Citizen, if you're there, I love you so much. You were talking about, you mentioned yesterday, regenerative agriculture in lieu of just sort of the ecosystem by me dying a little bit, a lot of it. She had mentioned Justin Rhodes, which is so funny because I had watched him years back for some help with the chickens. Like, that was great new knowledge on using the chickens to sort of till and fertilize your flower beds and garden beds, like after they're done for the season, so that nature does all the work for you, so that you don't have to go through. They do a better job anyways. And that sort of using the chickens to till like huge plots of our garden was so perfect. Yeah, he was great. I kind of fell out of him when he sort of went in this, like, the documentary, like, making sort of like, okay, we're making a documentary about our family, and like life was so hard for us, and now I have all. He's one of those people. Didn't he have like he has some sort of disease, and like, no shade or anything like that, but it's like one of these like eternally sick people that against all odds, like, pushes through, and now they're living this organic life. And um maybe I'm a little bit jealous, I don't know, but I had to not watch that anymore. He had really cute children though. His family is beautiful. um I remember he had like a barn helper who looked like someone straight out of like Pakistan, and I'm I'm like, where did you come from? But again, in the idea of regenerative agriculture, I think that is a really great topic, and really big energy around that right now, and just different ways of like growing things and growing combinations of things. Um, I know, since everything's sort of like dying around here, that uh, the insects are probably going to be crazy this summer. Insects, from what I understand, act as God's great garbage cleaners. So they come in and sort of eat and consume and sort of transform the dead material into something else, which is necessary. And we love insects so much for doing that. But regenerative agriculture is very, very interesting to me. And I know you mentioned some other people that you listen to or watch. I think I've seen one of the other ones. But I don't know. I like that idea of regenerating it. And a lot of the times it's just like allowing nature to do it on our own. A lot of it is like taking yourself out of the equation, like we talked about yesterday. And I think maybe that's like the really big lesson in all of this. The whole taste of your own medicine thing, that your efforts to help and sort of get involved are just they're not it. They're like ruining it. Your presence is ruining it. And you just need to like sort of take a step back and just observe and not, involve yourself and connect yourself unnecessarily to so many things. And just let the process go on its own, because it's going to go on its own. Just stop trying to interfere with it. That's why all these people, like the global warming people and the climate change people, it's like they really think that this wheel, for anyone who has to like cut back brush every fucking year multiple times a year, like that wheel is not going to stop turning. And that's going to be back this spring and next spring, and every spring after that is going to come, and you have to go out there and like hack it back down again. um they think that somehow they can like get themselves like into that cycle and affect it in some way. Or they have no self-awareness. A lot of the people who have all these ideas about like green energy and all of that stuff, they spend an awful lot of time looking at a screen, and they spend an awful little amount of time like outside, and actually like working with nature. um that's just my opinion. A lot of the people, like, they sit there and they watch these documentaries that, they spotlight, like Leonardo DiCaprio and all these like elite people, and it's all about their climate change and all that, and they feel so good about themselves. I just makes all of it just like makes me sick to my stomach. Um, yeah. Hey, Sarah Wallace. I heard that the core of the Earth is heating up from radiation coming from outer space, and as a result, we're going to start experiencing extreme weather spikes and no more mild weather. I hope it's a bunch of baloney. Yeah, I think that sounds like a bunch of baloney. Actually, that's funny you just mentioned baloney, because did y'all see Oscar Mayer? I wonder if I can find this. I'm pretty sure it was Oscar Mayer, at least here in the States. Um, Meyer, yeah. They made a face mask, like, yeah, a baloney face mask. And I mean face mask, not like, oh, put your mask on, you're killing grandma. It's like a face mask, like skin, like hydration. Like, I'm gonna put the link in the live chat right now. But Oscar Mayer launches a baloney sheet mask, and no, it's not made of real baloney. Yeah, I think it was like kind of genius in a way, but uh, that made me think of that when you said baloney. How ridiculous that Oscar Mayer literally made a face like sheet mask. That looks like baloney. Like, I love it so much. Sing Yanara, I love you. They can manipulate the weather however they wish. So if that's the info they're leaking, you can expect crazy weather. The astrology lines up as well. Yes, the astrology definitely lines up as well. And this whole weather thing, like, I try to think about it in my head. Like, I don't know if can they manipulate like entire climates, or are these sort of like micro, sort of like they're affecting it like a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, and then the whole thing sort of shifts. I don't know. Again, the whole chemtrails thing, what's going on with that? Someone said they're making like a giant Faraday cage. Though it definitely something like electrically is different because the water levels seem off. Um, I don't know. The weather is definitely crazy though, and these like huge spikes in temperature, like increases and decreases. It creates all of this wind, as the air pressure moves. I don't know. Like the weather machine stuff is like, what is it? Like like giant like freezers somewhere, just like pulling energy out of the system. Um, is it like the chemtrails? Is it like multiple things all at once, and they're just hoping something? Like I don't know this weather machine. HARP, um, does stuff, and I wonder too with like these earthquakes and tsunamis. Um, like Sonia says, like she doesn't feel that we have tectonic plates, and yeah, I kind of agree with that in a way. That a lot of these events could be, man-made explosions and whatnot. Then there's the whole, the satellite thing. Musk and yeah, Elon Musk. He's the one he has the Deep Mind project, right? Or is that Google? One of them. Elon Musk is very much tied to the whole like AI human brain interface thing, and not to mention again all of the satellites up there beaming radiation down. The people that like fawn over him as some sort of like pop culture icon. It just I I've talked about this before, I know, but that really baffles me. But him and his little space program out there in what is that, Cape Canaveral, Florida, or wherever they launch all those rockets and stuff. It's like, what does that do to the atmosphere in that area? Like I can't imagine that launching like hundreds of rockets and satellites, thousands probably a year, is like it has to do something. I don't know, you guys. So the weather is the weather is the weather. And then of course there's like the whole idea of like the rain dance, like the rain stick where it's like, the rice in the Pringles container and you're just bending it, back and forth. And then there's again the rain dance and what is that all about? Like, is there some sort of like human consciousness way to generate some sort of weather? There's those maiden towers in Azerbaijan and all of that. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Chemtrailing is crazy in Southern California. Baby, I think it's crazy everywhere. Like and then I see some people like vlogging on the internet, and they'll like just show their sky, and they're not even trying to comment on the chemtrails, but it's just like the whole thing. And did the sky always look like I don't remember that. They definitely can create direct hurricanes and cause earthquakes. Okay, so that's right. Jeremy? Did you see the video of Heather McDonald defending on stage? Jeremy, I addressed you directly earlier in this live stream, probably like 25 minutes ago. And I talked about that whole thing. I love you so much, Jeremy. They've been doing it since the 50s. Yes. The chemtrailing has caused drought in California and floods in other places. Yeah. See, the drought part of it is like what I see is like the atmosphere is changing in a way, or maybe it's the 5G. Like the water gets like fried off. Okay, it's like imagine like a bowl. Okay, and the water level just like keeps going down each day, and you would assume, oh, there must be a leak, like the water is like leaking somewhere. But the temperature, it's not being burned off because it's like 100 degrees outside. The temperature will be like 45, 45, 50, and the water is still going down, but it's not leaking underground. Like, where is it going? And it seems to be like being literally like microwaved off in some way. So what is that about? Because when you say drought here, I've mentioned how the rain patterns are like really fucked, and we don't have a lot of rain. But all of the ponds and the kettles and all that have all dried up, and all of them have been like a lot of them were like spring fed for so long, and they just yeah. I feel really bad for all the turtles that lived in all of these ponds and kettles because they like live underneath the ice, I'm pretty sure, in the winter. And now that that's not available, and some of these turtles and tortoises are like huge, they're at least like 50, 75 years old, probably older than that. They're huge turtles. And I just hope they found a home this winter because I don't know what happened to all the water. I just don't understand the point of destroying the planet. They live here too. Yeah, that's another one that's hard to wrap your mind around. I think it just has to do with like they just see us as like a power source. So they just want to milk and milk and milk and milk and draw that energy off until they can't draw anything further. That's why with this whole kukarachi thing, I don't really feel like it's you take it and then you're gonna die. It's more of like everything, the slow drip, the slow burn. Um, Keeping you alive just enough so that you can fulfill another subscription and complete another Amazon order, another Uber Eats, um, default on another student loan payment, and then they'll allow yourself to die. I'm on the fence about weather manipulation. If only Cassandra, is that you? If only because the elite have to live here too. Yeah, that's what. So it's like they have to live here too, but is the Earth bigger? Are there other places they can go to that won't be affected? I don't know. Underground. Elon is an actor from The Families, just like every other celebrity, just playing a role. He dates crazy women. I saw he's like with another girl, I'm pretty sure right now. I think didn't Heather talk about this on Juicy Scoop this week? Um, yeah, Natasha Bassett. He has a very interesting taste in women, and I like. What is that like? You know, um, Are you referring to Uranus and then N and Taurus? Jeremy, I'll always be looking at dem trails in the sky when I be working in the fields. Then Massa whips me and I get back to work. Massa said he's sick. I said, yes, Massa. Oh, Jeremy, you know I love you. Yeah, I just do we all have this like non-memory of chemtrails? Like when did those really start? Because again, in my youth, I don't remember looking up and being like, why is there a grid across the sky? Um, they do have those bunkers in New Zealand. I would love to go to New Zealand or Australia or Antarctica, if that's a real place. Jacinda Ardern is that New Zealand prime minister, right? She's the crazy one. I hope, um, I hope, like, what's going on? Is Australia still like fucked? Like Canada, I saw, or I was listening to Savannah, and I think she mentioned that Trudeau ended his like emergency act thing because they got the job done. Um, so is life back to normal there? What happened to all these people that got arrested? Are they in prison? Do they have their bank accounts? I don't know any updates there. I hope they're all okay, but something tells me that they might not be. I don't know. I'm about to yawn. I'm sorry. It's been such a fucking week. Um, Russia, yeah, Russia. I'm not rooting for either side. Like I said, I don't really care. Um, the Black Sea, is that the one right there? It goes like Mediterranean, Black, and then the Caspian Sea, right? I wouldn't mind sailing on the Black Sea or the Caspian Sea, but I really don't have any interest to visit. Some of the palaces in Petrosburg and Moscow seem pretty cool, um, but I don't know. Is the architecture cool in Ukraine? I bet they have some sick stuff if it isn't destroyed already. Um, I don't know. Does anyone else care about like the Russia-Ukraine thing? I care insofar as that like it affects us and like the global economy, which never seems to get any better. Um, but as far as I'm like duking it out or like the geopolitics in general, I'm just sort of like, oh, I just I can't even pretend. I can't even pretend. But it is again so fascinating to see the people again the allegedly liberal left, um, right there, ready to go and defend Ukraine for such an anti-war people, and I just never cry me a river. That's hilarious, Jeremy. Yeah, that's a perfect way to describe it. Um, Anyways, I probably should get going here. I need to get back to the barn. I think I covered, let me check this list, everything that I want. First Lady trailer, I was just blown away. Biden's response was boring, yes. World War III, women and children first. Yeah, I think I covered it all. Thank you all for listening. Jeremy, like I said in the beginning, I talked about the Heather McDonald thing. But I love you all so much. And be sure to check out my live stream with Sacha. Sacha, if you're there, I love you. You are so beautiful. And I can't wait to talk to you on Sunday. I hope you didn't have to go to work again today. That's so cool that you didn't have to go into work this week, or at least not much. Because I have to say, one of the things, these damn fucking horses, like all, like we got this like ice storm earlier in the week, and like everything was closed, all the schools, like no one did anything, and you see all of like the construction, again on these like concrete buildings and these ugly bourgeoisie houses, that just like came to a stop. But yeah, I'm out there, fucking cracking open water buckets for these dang horses while the rest of the world is just like, you know what, we're gonna have a snow day, or an ice day rather. I'm ready to go to bed. So I love you all so much, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.